Welcome back to Bestie Talk, episode 3.
It's your favorite bestie duo. I'm CiCora Lee,
I'm Krispin and
and welcome to Bestie Talk. We have two hot topics that we're discussing today, you all. You're going to really want to comment and put in your thoughts and your inputs on this. One of the first topics that we're talking about is valuable lessons that we've learned from previous relationships.
Mm.
Kristen, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, I feel like I learned something with every relationship. Sometimes some good, some bad. But one thing I do know that I see is a familiarity, if that's the word, is I learn something about myself and I grow and I realize what I don't want to accept. And I evaluate myself and I'm like, okay, how were you even able to put up with half of the stuff you put up with in the past? But it just took me growing and realizing what I didn't want, what I wasn't going to be acceptive of to kind of get to where I am today. The biggest one I think I learned is don't rush into things. Just kind of take your time, really get to know a person before you enter into a long-term commitment with them.
I really agree, especially with the first statement you made about how important it is to, just you're learning yourself as you date
Mm.
people and as you have relationships. That was one of my number one things as well. I learned to put myself first. And I know that a lot of people may think that that's selfish, but I do think that in a relationship, you want to be your best self. Like you want to be whole. You want to be whole physically, spiritually, emotionally, and that's what makes those long-term relationships that lead to marriage so much better. At least that's what I think from my perspective. So I just learned to put myself first, keep my values high, like not to compromise those for people. And like you said, you learn something new with each and every person because everyone is different. One of the things that I learned from previous relationships that's really different, someone told me that the next time that I dated someone or entered a relationship, to make sure that I give my all to that person the first time. And
Mm.
that's something that, we don't really go all in. Like when you're dating someone, you're getting to know that person. A lot of times we don't go all in because that's a big risk. But since I, have changed and grown a lot, matured, as I keep those standards and values high, I am able to show people like this is who I really am. And either they accept it or not, either we align or we don't. But I think that was a really interesting takeaway that I had from previous relationships.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an ongoing process. As the older we get, I think our perspective changes of people and ourselves. One thing I've learned is to stop making expectations for people and just kind of go with the flow, go with what they're showing me, not what they're telling me. And stop expecting this person to do X, Y, and Z because that's how I would move, and everyone is not me. So you have to learn to love people in their own language and not how we're used to be loving or dated or whatever the case may be.
Right. And you also don't want to become delusional. So, like, that goes to the point of what you said, seeing people the way that they are for what they're
Mhm.
showing you, not having any expectations. Because I've been there before where I had like certain expectations. I'm like, oh, I know that this is a great person. They have so much
Yeah.
potential. And then I saw things in that person that they didn't see in themselves. So I was painting this rosy red picture when it was broken. And I mean,
Mm.
that's okay, but it's just like lesson learned there. You definitely want to date from like, well, you're going to have your own experience and feelings about it. But at the end of the day, you want to be able to step away and say, okay, well, what is this person really showing me? What are their actions? What am I actually seeing? Not what I hope to be or what, not what do I
Not
hope to
what they're
be.
telling me.
Right, because you can picture yourself married with somebody on the first date because it's like, oh, this is such a good catch. I'm
I
excited.
know,
I can
seeing if
see
our
this
last
person.
name sounds good with our name.
Oh, we took a picture together. We look good together, and it's like,
Right.
no, that's not the person for you.
No. No, that happens though. I don't know. It's a process. I really feel like it's a process.
Yeah.
Um, 'Cause I didn't really learn how to date until I was in like my 30s. I feel like
Right.
because
If
when you're
I ever have,
younger, it's like going together and you're trying to like tie this person down and you don't want them texting other females. You don't want them doing the whole shebang. Like, no, that's not life. People are gonna have friends of the opposite sex. They're gonna have coworkers that they're cool with, hang out with. It's life. Like you can't tie a person down because you are exclusive with them or sleeping with them or whatever the case may be.
I agree with you on that. And that's my advice. Like I said, my son is 16, so like he's dating now. And I just tell him to just take things slowly. Like, you want to start off just conversing with people, just to see where they are, who they are, and then those next steps will come. I don't think
Mhm.
it's rushed at all.
Day by day.
Right. Because after 90 days, some people have a whole different personality. It changes over time, like, as you go through things, you know? I feel
Yeah,
like you see more, you learn more about that person too.
yeah, an old boss of mine said you'll never really know a person, you just know what they show you because people can paint a picture of what they want to be perceived as, but in reality, that's not really them. And people will only know what you allow them to see and what you show them. So,
Right. We want y'all's input on this. Here's a question for you. How has your partner changed since when you first met them? And I really want some feedback from the married couples because I'm assuming that you guys have been together for at least a year, so you've seen them through a full 4 seasons. And we just want to know, like, over time, has that person grown, evolved, or changed in any way? Yes or no?
mhm. Yeah, because you have to see people, you have to see them when they're grieving. You have to see them when they may be broke or having financial struggles. It's just different seasons of life that people go through that you might not see in a year. It may take you years to finally see how someone reacts in particular situations. So I've learned that you will never find a perfect person. You just find someone that you're willing to go through the struggles with, like they're
To do
worth
life
going
with.
through these seasons.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Mm.
Wow, as we're talking about it right now, it's like I have a whole nother revelation about covenant and marriage. Like, you are going to keep growing, because even when two whole people come together, they're going to be like a new person,
Yeah,
like
you
a
become
super,
one.
yeah, they're going to be like a super being at that point. And then you guys are going to keep, growing and evolving and changing together. So I think that's beautiful.
Because you're
Yeah,
gonna pick up on their habits, they're gonna pick up on your habits. So it's a thing. I think it's beautiful. I feel like that's what's gonna happen. You just never know. Because like
right.
if you deal with someone and they like to work out a lot, for instance, if you really love them, you become interested in the things that they're somewhat interested in. So you might start working out too. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. That's a
Right.
beautiful, like, that's thinking about it, that's a beautiful thing. I never really just took the time to process, like, how beautiful relationships are and, like, those connections and how they change. That's
Mhm.
that's why you gotta make sure you pick the most, like, you gotta vet the person you choose, ladies. Like, we get a chance
Absolutely.
to choose. We don't have to. I remember when I was younger, sometimes I would choose people that lasted the longest, like those that were the most persistent in trying to talk to me, and those were the worst choices that I ever could have made. So I
Mm.
think it would have been much wiser for me to choose people that align with me, that align with where I was in life and where I saw myself, like, in the next 5 years, someone that I could grow with instead of the person that just kept showing up the most. Because some people do keep showing up and they won't go away. But that doesn't mean that that person is for you. So don't fall prey to that, ladies.
Yeah, don't settle because of the time that you've invested in it. And I've known that to happen with a lot of couples. Like, hey, we've been together this amount of time. We might as well get married. Like, no, don't might as well marry me. I want you to do it
Right.
because that's what you want to do. Not because, oh, we put in this time. why not? They've been there the longest. And no, and I feel like if your person is really someone you want to be with long term, you'll go ahead and lock that down. You won't take the chance of them being with anyone else, you know?
Right. And so that makes me think of the question, what do you think about being with somebody because you love them versus you're attached to them? Because, like, you know, thinking of being in love with somebody, like you're choosing that person first. You're choosing to go through long suffering, to be kind, to
Hmm.
love them unconditionally. And whereas, like with an attachment, you're just used to that person. You're used to their ways. You know them.
Yeah.
You're afraid to get to know somebody else. I know personally, I have been in relationships based on attachment instead of love. But like now that I know better, I'm doing better. So I'm looking at the love aspect and how there can be like reciprocity in the relationship between me and the other person. And
Mm.
y'all comment on this. Drop a comment below. Are you in your current relationship because of love or because you are used to them and you become attached?
Mm. I really like my person I'm with, but I haven't been there long enough for it to be like, oh, I'm here for the time being. But yeah, I don't know. Which brings us to our next topic,
Let's get into it.
being equally yoked in
Uh-oh.
relationships. What does that look like for you? What about you, Bestie? What does being equally yoked look like for you?
Okay, so being equally yoked for me, first and foremost, they have to believe in Jesus. They have to believe that Jesus is Lord because I'm a wife already to Christ, right? So my husband is going to lead me, he's going to be the head of the household. And in order for him to lead me and for me to trust in his leadership, he's going to have to believe in Christ. So whoever I'm dating, that's going to be one of the key things. They'll have to believe in Christ and they will have to, for me personally, I'm always growing. Like every 2 years, I become a whole new person. And it's very much intentional. I value personal development, self development in all areas, emotional, physical, spiritual. Like I'll go to counseling, work out, all those kind of different things. So I do want to be with somebody who also values personal development. And for me, being equally yoked also means that we just have the same morals and values. Like they don't have to be a replica of me. In fact, I prefer that they don't because I don't know if I could like live with a replica of myself. But like we just have to agree on the same values and the same beliefs. What does it look like for you?
Yeah, definitely the belief system. That's one thing. But more so, I think like upbringing that plays a big part in relationships and marriage and things like that because how someone was, disciplined growing up, the morals that they have growing up, what they believe a family unit looks like. That's one thing that I think people should be yoked on. Um, I think like education wise, you
Good
should be
point.
equally yoked in that aspect too. I'm not saying like you both have to have like, a master's degree or whatever the case may be, but you have to know that that person can solve some problems, read some instructions, put some things together. Like you got to know that they're there. Um, because that tells a lot about a person. Like, are you able to start something and finish it? Like, are you able to be self-disciplined to get to the finish line? So that's one thing. Let's see. Financially, that's an interesting one there. I think you should be somewhat financially yoked. But I want my man to have more than me. So
I wish you was right.
I want him to have more than me. But if that's not, the case, I'm sure I love my person regardless. But ideally, if you are leading, you got to give me something to follow.
They have to be the provider. I agree with you
Yeah.
on that. I want to really dig into what you talked about with upbringing. You said like it's important to know that person's views of family, to look at like how they look at a family unit and how they were raised and all of those things. So for me personally, where I'm at right now in life, as
Mhm.
far as like my career, what I do, everyone, I don't want to say everyone, but I would say at least 95% of my colleagues come from households where, both parents were married and they raised them up. And this was like a path that they intentionally took. Whereas for myself, my mom died before I was 12. My dad put me up for adoption. I lived with my grandmother. I was homeless, kind of bounced around and went through all those different things. So from the outside looking in, for people who may hear that, that may be like, oh, this girl is battered and, she can't possibly know what a real family looks like. So I would just speaking for those people who have gone through things like myself, who didn't see a perfect family unit, I really think that therapy has really helped me. And just like my relationship with God has helped me to understand what the family unit looks like. So I wouldn't necessarily judge a person if they did, or like look at them, you know, any less than anybody else if they came from a household that wasn't ideal. But I think their perspective of that today would matter a lot. Like I would want to know, how did they process that trauma, or like how did they process their lack of things in their upbringing, and like what are their thoughts on that today. So I think that's important.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's important as well. But not only that, like a lot of like family discipline, like how were you disciplined growing up? Do you believe in beating a child? Do you believe in cussing at kids? Do you believe in like punishment like that? So that
Mm,
plays a role when it comes to upbringing and forming a bond, a unit with someone, because you have to be okay with that. Like if they grew up getting beat, there's a chance they may be whooping your kid down. So you just have
right.
to think about like those type, ask those questions like on the first couple of days, like, hey, what was your upbringing like? Did you get whooped a lot? Did you, just ask those questions to kind of gauge where their mind is, because what people see when they grow up is what they believe is, you know, the standard and how things are supposed to go. So you have to
Great
be okay
point.
with like different views on certain things.
That's a great point.
Mhm.
Wow. And as a single mother, I know usually, so in the past, I didn't always mention my son. And I think that was just in general because I had some apprehension towards how people may feel, because I was a teen mother. And so I didn't want that stigma to be placed on me up front. But like now that I'm more mature, people definitely know, like when I'm dating, hey, I have a son. Granted, he's not like meeting them or anything, but I do talk about him just so I can see that person's perspective. Like you said, how they would discipline their children, or how they do discipline their children if they have kids. And you also want to see like their attitude towards your child. Like I've had, people respond in different ways to someone else's kids. Like when they didn't, birth a child, they'll respond differently. And you
Mhm.
really get to see a man's heart whenever you mention your child. Like if I talk about my son and that person starts sending me stuff that would be of value to my son, I know, okay, that's a good sign. They're welcoming, the
They're
possibility of a
accepting.
relationship. Yeah, yeah. So I
Yeah.
do think that's important.
Yeah, and you have to kind of pay attention to the signs while dating. Like, does this person ask about my kids? Do they inquire about how they're doing? Or when they call you, are they asking, what are you doing? Or what are y'all doing? Like, are they including the kid in the conversation? Or are they
Mhm.
acting like your kid does not exist?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, so for the people that have like come and gone in my life, as far as relationships, I think looking back, yeah, the ones that weren't that interested in my son, they didn't go too far.
It can't, because your kid is a
Right.
part of you. Like, if
Mhm.
you don't accept me or my kid, you definitely can't accept me, because they're gonna be there regardless. Unless
Exactly.
they're
For
grown and
life.
out of the house, they're gonna be there.
But
So
that's a for life thing too, because my son is about to leave, but wherever he goes, I'm gonna be somewhere close, like, and he's gonna still be around too.
yeah, but that's also different from someone that has younger kids, kind of such as myself. Because he's going to be grown doing his own thing and building his own family after a
Mhm.
while, whereas if I were to bring someone here and around, like, they would be growing up seeing this person.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so that is a different dynamic. You're
Yeah.
right, because, like, at this point, I discipline my son, but it's different from how I would have disciplined him when he was younger, you know? Okay, so that's a very valid point. They'll
Yeah.
get a chance, like, your kids are younger, so they will go through different, transition
Mhm.
points of parenthood. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Dating while being a mom.
Right? Single moms, I don't really think anybody's down as single mothers these days. Like, I remember when I
It's
was younger.
so normal nowadays.
Yeah,
Back in the day, you get frowned upon, but
yeah.
now it's
I
like,
didn't I
okay.
did not like, I remember I had a job one time for about 3 years, and it took me at least a good 2 before they even knew that I had a kid. Like, I didn't talk about it because it used to be, like, such a negative thing, but now.
Was it a negative thing, or were you making it that in your head?
No, like, people's response to me when I got pregnant as a teen, they made it such a negative thing towards me. Like, when I was
Mm.
cheerleading, they didn't give me my cheerleading uniforms. Like, I would have been the first Black varsity football captain cheerleader. They wouldn't give me my clothes when I was pregnant because they didn't want me to represent the school and be pregnant. And then I remember when I got induced for labor, the nurse looked at me and she was like, "Don't ever do this again," as if I was promiscuous when I really got pregnant the second time I had sex. So, like, people were really frowning upon it, like, it wasn't just in my head.
No, I didn't mean like that, like in your head. More so
Yeah.
like when you were working the job, not when you were younger and pregnant, carrying the child. When you mentioned that you were working the job and you didn't tell them, do you think your coworkers would have judged you, or were you just like thinking that, or you like know that they would have treated you
So,
differently?
now that was the trauma speaking, in the situation with my coworkers. They would not have judged me. They didn't judge me when they found out I had a kid.
Okay, that's what I was
Everyone was
asking. I
fine.
wasn't saying, yeah, I'm sure you face some scrutiny, but
Yeah,
yeah.
no, in the workspace, everyone was okay with it. So, that
Okay.
was a in my head thing.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think nowadays it's more nobody's really like, who cares at this point?
Right.
We all have life going on.
Is that Grant?
That is.
Girl, why does he sound like a baby?
That's him.
How does he sound like, I thought you had a baby over there? I was like, whose baby is visiting?
Nobody.
Wow. What is he doing?
It sounds like he's laughing and playing with Camille in there. I don't know. We're working on Grant.
I thought it was a cry.
Mm-mm. He was probably putting on, like, he'll act like he's crying. Yeah.
Gotta love it.
Right. So cool.
Did we talk about being equally yoked? We did.
Mm.
Okay, let's dig. Do you want to talk? Okay, so I saw on TikTok the other day this post, and in it said significant other means sign if I can't. And I thought that was so awesome. Like, I've never seen that spin on significant before.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good one. Sign if I can't.
Right. But hopefully, we're never in that position where we can't.
Right. Right. We don't want to be in that situation.
I think equally yoked, that goes back. Make sure y'all's credit is equally yoked too.
Mhm. It's okay to ask.
Oh, absolutely. Like, those are the real conversations we need to have with people. Like, the lovey dovey, that's cute, I like you. But
That's baby right.
do you pay your bills on time? How many delinquencies do you have on your credit?
Do you have student loan debt? Is it in
How much
forbearance?
debt do you have?
Good question.
Yeah, like
That's a great question.
you have to ask these things because once you marry that person and y'all try to go get a house together and y'all are filling out this paperwork and he can't get approved, are you okay with just signing on that dotted line by yourself? And because your husband's credit, wasn't worthy, are you okay with taking on such responsibility if that is the case? What about you? Like, what if you found out, you and your man about to get this nice, massive house together, and then he can't get approved, but you can get approved for like the whole thing by yourself? How would you feel about that? How would you go about that?
When you say my man, do you mean my husband?
Husband.
Okay, because
You
I
know
was
what
gonna
you're
say,
talking about. Come
you
on, we ain't
know,
buying no houses with men we ain't married to. We're not doing
I was gonna go there. I was
that.
gonna go there. Okay, so like
Mm-mm.
with my husband, I'm gonna know his credit and stuff before we get to that point. Like before the marriage, before we walk down the aisle, like after he
But
proposes.
suppose you
That's
did not know. Suppose you
okay.
didn't
So
know.
suppose I didn't know. We just get there and it's like, oh, you qualify for this, but your husband doesn't. My name's gonna be on the house, and it's gonna be my house. And if anything ever happens to where we shall part, which I don't wish that on my marriage, but if anything thing happens where we shall part, it's gonna be my house.
Well, you have to check the rules in your state because that varies. Like whether your name is on there or not, being that y'all are
Oh,
married and they lived in the dwelling. Like in Mississippi, half of that house would be theirs, even though their name isn't on it. They're not on the deed. They could not have paid not one mortgage. But if that's your husband and they've lived in the house with you, half of the home belongs to them.
you're right because they do have laws here too. I'm in Maryland, but like in Maryland and DC, where if you purchase the property after you're married, it's considered like collateral. Like both people own the property technically. So, oh my gosh, that's a good point. Dang. Well, I mean,
That brings us to the prenup.
would
Let's
you
go
sign a
on.
prenup? Would you sign a prenup? Are you team prenup?
Absolutely, because I want someone to sign one. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Y'all let us know in the comments. Are you team prenup? Yes or no?
Team prenup over here.
I'll sign a prenup, but
I'm
we don't
your
we don't have to have one.
we don't have to have one either, but if I get to a place where I know like, okay, I have stuff to lose if this falls through.
Mm.
Let baby, I run businesses, so I need my businesses protected. I need what you didn't build to be protected. Like it's nothing personal. So from like a business aspect, sign them lines, baby.
Oh my gosh. So
Sign.
so for me, I'm just willing to go all in with my husband.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love
We want
that.
all of our stuff to be one, except for spending accounts. Like I do think we should have like, you know, I have my own spending funds. He has his own spending funds because I have, I don't know, or it could be one. But
What
maybe
if
this.
he wants you to sign a prenup?
What if he wants me to sign a prenup?
Mm-hmm.
I would sign a prenup with like 5-year conditions, where after like 5 years of marriage, it dissolves. But I would sign a prenup.
Okay.
Yeah, and in that aspect, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have some things too, because like you said, I have businesses as well. So like, if he wants me to sign a prenup, he's gonna sign one too.
I mean, we only need one, so
Oh, it's only one. It's just
they
one
only need
agreement.
one, right?
Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
mean,
I didn't know. So like when people get married, they do it like together. Like there's.
because like you have it all the terms written out in that one prenup.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll be prenupping together then.
Yeah, nothing personal. It's just business.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you want to be protected. Just like my lawyer told me when I was going through my divorce, had I put his name on my house, we would have been having to split this in the divorce, even though I had this prior to him entering the marriage. So,
Oh wow, I think that's messed up. Like if you purchased
mhm.
your home prior to, I think, but that's just an opinion. Like I'm not going against the law or anything, but just personal opinion. I think that whatever you acquire beforehand should belong to you alone, and then everything after the marriage could be like between the husband and wife. But that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah,
Clearly, these are different.
yeah,
Wow, yeah, marriage changed a lot of stuff.
it's a business.
Yeah, you got to make a good business decision and hire somebody with competence.
There you go. Make sure you are tight during the interview process. Ask the right questions. Do a phone interview. Do a face to face. You got to travel with a person. I think you should travel with a person, just to see
Oh,
how.
that's a good one. My coworkers told me that. My colleagues told me that. I took a class earlier this year, and one of my colleagues said that I told her that I was dating someone. I was like, I really like this person, and she said, before you consider marrying somebody, you guys need to go overseas together. 'Cause she was like it's gonna be a change of time zone, and she was like, "You'll get to see how he leads as a man. Like, you'll get to see him with foreigners, just, like, different dynamics, different cultures,
Mhm.
whether or not they can even handle things, like, if something were to happen, you know?" That's a good.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to see how these people move. Check out their family, like, ask to go around their family to see how their family is living, like, see what the dynamic is over there.
Wow.
Because you're getting into something that's more than just a lovey-dovey relationship. Like, love is very minuscule when it comes to a marriage, I feel like.
Really? Or are you
Mm,
talking about, like, the feelings and the emotion part is small when it comes to, like,
yeah,
permanent? Okay.
absolutely. Because people are getting divorced because of what? Infidelity, for financial reasons. So if we
Wow.
were all just, oh, on love on cloud nine, you'll be able to work through that. But ain't that much love in the world to make me stick around and you cheating on me. Mm. It's
Cheating
not.
is a reason for, like, divorce, so it should definitely be a reason for someone to, like, cut off a relationship, I feel like.
Some people don't though. Like some people um stick through there through men having babies on them. Could you stay with someone that had a baby on you?
That would be a hard one because, like, the baby is something that's there for life, like, you don't get rid of that. Like, you'll always be reminded of that infidelity and that person cheating on you and whatever the situation was in your life. I would say that for people who can accept that, they are very forgiving. But for me personally, it's hard to say because I haven't been through that. But just looking at that situation, like the question that you proposed, I would have to say no. Like if that person cheated on me and got a baby, go be with your other family. Like you just created another family. So there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Cause I forgive, but it's very hard for me to forget. And that child will be a constant reminder. And I'm not that mature to accept another baby. I'll just go ahead and let you know now. You'll be asking me, you act like you don't love my other kid. I don't. So, maybe
And it's not even about the kid.
it ain't even about the
It's
kid.
about the whole dynamic, the situation, you
Yeah,
know.
it was the disrespect that I endured on
Right.
behalf of that, and you can't expect me to be accepting of something so disrespectful. So, but I
And
know women that do. I know women that do, and like she said, you're very forgiving, and I commend you.
that's beautiful. Like if somebody
Mhm.
can salvage their marriage after, someone has like an outside child. But for me personally, the child was outside, I'm gonna be outside. So
Baby, you outside.
yeah, it is a wrap after
It's
that show is
over.
done.
Right. Congratulations, my guy.
Yeah, you casted somebody else because I'm out.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
And ladies,
So
just know your worth and your value. You don't have to accept anything below the standards that you've already placed in your heart. And if you're dating someone who goes against your your top 3, like your deal breakers or your standards, that's where you want to go ahead and cut it off. You don't want to become so attached and then, you're in love and then you're married and that person still carries those same behaviors into the marriage, and like then you have a mess. So it's good to cut stuff off like that early.
yeah.
I feel like when men cheat, and this is just y'all let me know. Let me know if I'm wrong because I'm not a man. But I kind of think that when men cheat, it's a behavior issue. Like it's something, I don't want to say a behavior issue because that sounds like kiddish, right? Like a child like. But what I mean by that is there's something internal. I believe that there's something internal that causes the man to cheat. Maybe he's not ready for a commitment, or maybe he's modeling some other behavior. Or if he just up and cheats, maybe there's something going on inside of the relationship that caused him to try to receive comfort or something, whatever he's looking for elsewhere. So I feel like those things, there are some signs prior to a man just going out and having a whole baby. Like something was visible before that point. That's
That's
just
yeah.
a thought.
Yeah, I don't even try to wrap my brain around why men cheat. I mean, because people do what they want to do at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So some people get bored. Some people are looking to fill a void. Some people are lacking something in their current relationship or marriage. Some people just want something to do. Some people get a thrill out of it. It's
Oh,
some
well,
people
I don't
cheat
mind
just to
the
see if they
devil.
can cheat.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Just to see if they can get away with it.
Mhm. Just to see how much you'll put on it. I'm telling
Well,
you.
I don't mind. It's a devil's workshop. So
So
I wouldn't date a man that doesn't have much going on. I'm just gonna put it like that. Like if he doesn't have a
mhm.
lot going on, I don't want him.
Mm-mm.
You need to be busy, baby. Like I should look at you and be
Feet to
like,
the ground running.
I should look at you and be like, oh, baby, he's so busy.
Or you work so hard.
Yeah. Are you gonna rest? Like you should take a day off. They'd be like, I can't take a day off. I know it'll
Oh,
work.
baby, you deserve a vacation, right? But some of these
Right.
men, you'll be out working the man, and they'll just be sitting around looking at you do it, and secretly have this animosity in their head because you're out here getting to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I want my man to inspire me through like his
Mhm.
discipline and his ambition and his passion for what he does. That turns me on. Like I love
Mhm.
consistency and discipline. And when I see that, that does something real special because a lot of men don't have discipline or consistency.
I agree. A lot of
And I
men don't have self-discipline.
mhm. Yeah, I need him to be busy, busy.
Yeah, I want him to be so busy. He make me feel like I'm not working hard enough. Like, oh, let me put in more work to get in there and to match what my man is doing. So,
Right. That goes
Okay.
back to being equally yoked.
Hmm. Yes.
If you live in a routine life and you don't have much going on, maybe you can afford to get a man that just goes to work and come home and eat dinner. That's it.
Yeah.
Do what works for you, but for
Good work
me,
for you.
I like them busy, busy.
Busy, busy. Always checking that email.
Yeah, talking about their clients. Tell me about your clients.
Yes. What happened, babe? What happened at work?
Right.
Yeah. So I would say definitely if you guys have any other topics that you want to hear us talk about, you can definitely check out the comment section below. I'll have our contact information. You can follow us on social media. We
We
love
are
it.
also published authors, you guys. Crispin has published Shattered Vows. I published Letters to Her, The Repair of the Breach. And these are all books that intertwine. Look at you. Wait a minute.
These are books that you must have. These are some must haves.
Yeah,
Okay.
you need these books because they all deal with helping women, just helping women through relationships, how to overcome and how to be how to be a high value woman. If you want to move in your feminine and attract your provider husband, your
Mm.
equally yoked partner, you need these books in your life to break generational curses and be the best you.
Yes, I definitely agree. And I will link those links below so you guys can go check those out as well. And if you get the book, take a picture and tag us on social media so we can repost it.
Let us know because we wanna see y'all do some vibing with us too. Come on.
Yes. So until next time.
See you all. Your festie. Your favorite bestie duo is out.
Peace.